Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to each and every single one of you. Thank you for joining us today. I believe today we'll be talking about a really important infrastructure decision that businesses are making. My name is Edward Ionel, and I've been with Mirantis for roughly 7 years now, and I've been helping businesses transition from virtual machines to containers over the last 3 to 4 years. And in front of us today is the end of life for Rancher RKE1. So today we'll be discussing, if you're running RKE1, what does that mean to your business? What does that mean to your infrastructure? How it's going to impact your end users, and what decisions you're most likely going to need to make in the near term to ensure that your infrastructure is AI ready. So over the next hour, we'll be discussing all things going on with Rancher RKE1 and the end of the road for it, and what's next for your infrastructure needs. So I'm hoping by the end of this session, you'll understand your options, the true cost and risk of continuing with RKE1 or moving over to RKE2 or RKE3, which are viable products and platforms, and giving you the necessary actionable next steps to help you really figure out what is the best decision for you and for your business. So let's address the elephant in the room. Rancher Kubernetes Engine 1 has come to an end in July 31st of this year. So as of right now, RKE1 is end of life, which means no security patches, no bug fixes. There is no in-place upgrade path to go from RKE1 to RKE2 or RKE3. The way SUSE and Rancher are positioning it is a complete re-platforming, meaning you will need to spin up new Kubernetes clusters. And of course, there are some compliance concerns. So if you see any CVEs that are appearing, any critical vulnerabilities, it is important for you to know that you will be on your own when it comes to resolving these issues. Again, no security patches, no bug fixes, and no in-place upgrade path to RKE2 and RKE3. So on this slide, I added a quote directly from SUSE's official documentation. And I think this really speaks to how important it is to understand how this can impact your business. And the quote goes like this: an in-place upgrade was deemed problematic due to the nature of the architectural differences, as well as going against the cloud native ethos of treating your clusters as cattle rather than pets. So what does re-platforming really mean? Well, first, you're going to need to create entirely new Rancher Kubernetes Engine clusters, RKE2 or RKE3. You can't upgrade the existing ones you have today, meaning you're going to have to build these from scratch. New networking, new storage, new compute. If you have 100 clusters today running on RKE1, you're going to have to build 100 new clusters. So it really is a complete re-platforming exercise. Second, you're going to have to figure out how to migrate all of your workloads from the existing RKE1 clusters to these new clusters we just described. And this isn't a simple kubectl apply operation. You're going to need to extract configurations. You're going to modify those configurations for the new platform. You're going to have to handle persistent data migration. You're going to have to manage all kinds of different dependencies for the services you use. And you're going to have to figure out when the cutover or cutoff time takes place. So really what that means is you're going to be running 2 different clusters at the same time, simultaneously from one another, in order to figure out at what point do you have confidence in your new clusters, in your new infrastructure, to turn off the old ones. On top of that, you are most likely going to need to rebuild specific integrations and configurations, specifically your CI/CD pipelines, any form of monitoring, logging, security scanning, disaster recovery systems, and so forth. Anything that touched your RKE1 clusters may need to be reconfigured. So that GitOps workflow you spend months designing and perfecting, well, you may need to start over. I'm not saying you have to, but you may need to. those custom operators and CRDs, most likely you're going to have to test and modify every single one. And that brings us to our last bullet here, which is testing and validating everything from scratch. You're going to manage dual environments initially during this transition. So you can't just flip a switch. You'll run both new and old infrastructure during the migration process. Double the infrastructure costs, double the management overhead, double the security surface that you need to protect, and so forth. Generally speaking, from what we've seen from our customers and prospects, this is taking anywhere from 3 to 9 months, depending on the complexity of the Kubernetes clusters, the services running within, and of course, all of the different configurations that are taking place to actually make it an enterprise environment. You and many others may be asking yourself why migrating doesn't work. It's super simple. There is a completely new container runtime for Rancher's Kubernetes Engines 2 and 3. Docker has been deprecated by Kubernetes in Kubernetes, I believe, 1.24. So these changes have made significant architectural differences and incompatibilities between RKE1 and RKE2. Different installation methods, different configurations, and so forth. Therefore, there isn't no simple upgrade path. Now, continuing to run an end-of-life environment that doesn't have security, support, and so forth leaves your business vulnerable to negative impacts, whether it's compliance and legal, so ensuring you obeyed by HIPAA, CCPA, GDPR, all of these different regulatory compliance concerns. Well, with an outdated environment, you're not going to be able to meet the demands of these regulatory compliance. On top of that, you may expose your business to security vulnerabilities. With the evolution of AI, the importance of your data remaining at the edge in a secure environment is incredibly important. Any form of security exposure that may happen on your Kube platform will most likely cost your business millions and millions of dollars. On top of that, you're going to create specific different hidden costs and risk. There's going to be increased operational overhead. Your team is going to spend 30% more of their time managing the new infrastructure or both dual environments. This is something that is going to take significant overhead when it comes to managing new and old infrastructure during that full migration process, during that replatforming that needs to take place. And lastly, any form of downtime during some form of emergency migration is critical. And this comes from analyzing over 100 different Kubernetes migrations. Why? Because emergency migrations skip proper planning, testing, and staged rollouts. And this is how this may impact your business. Now, when we take a look at how are we going to choose the right infrastructure for my unique needs, given the fact that I may need to completely migrate away from RKE1? Well, application patterns have evolved significantly over the last couple of years. We have traditional monolithic applications that are generally running on-premise on some form of virtual machines. We have cloud-native applications, microservices, that are going to be running in containers. And now we're in a place where there's this idea of agentic AI. And this is incredibly important to determine what is the best platform for our unique needs. Businesses are going to need to choose an infrastructure vendor that allows them to actually manage, operate, and deploy any form of application, regardless of the type of application, whether it's a traditional virtual machine, monolithic application, cloud native, and agentic AI. So we talked about some of the business impacts that you may face if you're thinking about migrating away from RKE1, But something to keep in mind is actually I'm probably going to need to purchase an infrastructure that is future-proof, that ensures that when there are new services that come to market, when there are new GPUs I need to install, we have everything we need to ensure that our infrastructure is future-proof. On top of that, businesses are going to need to ensure that they are sovereign. And sovereign means that we're abiding by different regulatory concerns, sector-specific regulations that your business may be impacted by. Your AI training data might need to live in a specific geographic boundary. Healthcare data can't be used for AI training and inference without specific mechanisms, and so forth. So it's incredibly important when choosing a new infrastructure to run your containers, your virtual machines, and your agentic AI, that they have these hard requirements. You're going to need some single pane of glass that allows you to actually manage sprawl, configuration sprawl across your different infrastructures. Every team wants their own cluster. Every cloud provider offers different services, different CLIs, and before you know it, like many enterprises now, you're going to have 50 clusters across 5 clouds leveraging 10 different technologies. We've seen this time and time again, where no person within the organization truly understands everything that's happening across their infrastructure. Cost spiral, significant security gaps, and innovation is stalling due to the complexity of this new age of infrastructure, where all infrastructure is becoming AI infrastructure. These aren't future challenges. They're impacting AI delivery today. And as we know, RKE1 can't handle these requirements, and neither can many basic enterprise cube platforms. You need a platform that's built for what's coming, not what was. And what that means is being able to manage virtual machines, cloud native microservices, and of course, agentic AI. Now, before we jump into what that platform looks like, let's take a step back and enter a time machine that helps us understand where the market has evolved. And it's quite simple. In 2010, we were told that cloud was simple. Shut down your data center, move to AWS or Azure or Google, and everything's going to become easier, cheaper, and self-service. But what we actually got was a significant complexity of all types of different infrastructures, different cloud providers, and many businesses are leveraging multiple of these cloud providers. Now, the challenge here is, as you can see in this diagram, each cloud has different APIs, different networking models, different security frameworks, different cost structures, and your team needs to have the experience to manage all of them. And unfortunately, you're going to need separate tooling for each. You're going to need specific expertise for each, and so forth. This is creating significant gaps when it comes to governance, monitoring, security controls, cost control, and so forth. Now, luckily for us, Kubernetes has matured. And this is the critical insight here. Every single one of these cloud providers has some form of Kubernetes associated to it. In my opinion, Kubernetes has matured to the de facto operating system of cloud environments. AWS has EKS, Azure has AKS, Google has GKE, Mirantis has MKE, and so forth. And the reason why all these cloud providers have different Kubernetes platforms or technologies is because of what I said earlier, where Kubernetes has won and become the operating system of cloud environments. Now, more importantly, what I want everybody to take away from this is Kubernetes has become the common control plane. And this is a breakthrough moment. Kubernetes can be the single point of control across every single cloud provider. Instead of managing 7 different platforms with 7 different tools across 7 different teams, you can leverage Kubernetes to achieve a super control plane that allows you to manage, monitor, deploy any application on top of any infrastructure anywhere. And this is all managed through the single Kubernetes control plane. Same deployment pipelines, same monitoring as mentioned, same security policies. And when AWS has an outage, our platform built on Kube will allow you to shift these workloads from AWS to Azure in minutes. If your cloud provider is too expensive, we can move those workloads to a different provider as well. If you need local processing, we can deploy it to the edge. This control plane provides businesses unified resource management across every and all infrastructure, consistent policy enforcement everywhere, again, across all of your infrastructure, a single pane of glass to observe what is happening from metal all the way to model across the entire infrastructure stack. You're going to have specific governance and security controls based off of role-based access control to ensure that whoever is accessing some part of the functionality or infrastructure, they have the correct permissions to do so. You're going to be able to measure cost across all of the clouds, and disaster recovery is built within. This is how businesses are going to tame the complexity of infrastructure moving forward, not by adding more tools, but instead by standardizing on one platform that works everywhere and anywhere. Before we jump into the platform, I want to highlight some of our biggest customers. And these are the most demanding organizations in the world. Royal Bank of Canada currently uses Mirantis Kubernetes Engine. Societe Generale does as well, T-Mobile, and GE Aerospace. I'm not going to go into these details here. Everybody can read the case studies on our website, but I want to show everyone here today how large and demanding some of Mirantis customers are. Now, let's take a look at the challenges that are driving containerization and why businesses are deciding to containerize their workloads. And I imagine many of you already know this, but for those of you that are sitting here with us today, still trying to figure out their containerization journey, here are some of the challenges that you may be impacted with. First is risk. As we know, businesses want to mitigate risk. There's fast-changing global compliance and security threats, new regulations that are being introduced on a monthly basis, and of course, vulnerabilities. Businesses need a technology that reduces the risk. On top of that, there's tech debt. There's incompatible platforms, clouds, and workload types that just do not work with one another. Every single tool that you bring to your tech stack may not work with one another, which is creating significant amount of complexity. On top of that, operators are going to need full visibility into everything that is happening within their infrastructure. They need a uniform view of performance and costs across different teams, applications, and infrastructure. And lastly, they're going to need a simple path to actually host or modernize legacy workloads. And this is what I mentioned at the beginning of our presentation today, which is how important it is to have infrastructure that allows you to manage, monitor, operate, deploy any form of application, whether it's monolithic, microservices, or agentic AI. And this is incredibly important. So what are the enterprise requirements businesses need when they think about their containerization journey? Well, of course, businesses are going to need a platform that is secure and compliant with automated controls that ensure the checklist is met every single week. Businesses are going to want one platform, one team, one operational model, which is going to give them simplicity when it comes to their tech stack and their infrastructure. Teams, CFOs, VPs of platform architecture are going to want to have a very good understanding of what's running, where it's running, how much it costs, and why is it running at any given moment, all the way from metal to model. And lastly, businesses want to maintain their legacy applications, those monolithic applications, and not have to modernize every single application that has been running within their organization for many years. So this takes us to the building blocks that every single container platform needs. Just spinning up a kube cluster is not enough to have an enterprise container platform. It's a complete platform. So starting at the bottom, you have your operating system. It needs to be hardened, minimal, security focused, not just your standard Ubuntu. You need a container runtime, it needs to be properly configured, it needs to have security policies enforced, there needs to be networking, network policies, service mesh, ingress controllers, load balancers, storage persistent volumes, and so forth. All of these things need to be baked into your Kubernetes platform. And ideally, in an automated way where batteries are swappable. If you decide for whatever reason that ingress controllers are not built for your unique needs, you can swap that technology out for a different one. Let's take a look at some of Mirantis' container technologies that actually allow you to build enterprise-grade Kubernetes platforms that allow you to manage monolithic applications, containerized applications, microservices, and agentic AI. So with Mirantis, we have one platform called Coordinate that actually allows you to manage, monitor, operate any form of application across any infrastructure, whether it's virtual machines running on-premise in VMware, or containerized workloads running in the cloud on AWS. Through Coordinate, you have one super control plane that is going to allow you to manage all of these workloads through a single control plane, single pane of glass, and give you all of the mechanisms needed to achieve an enterprise-ready infrastructure. You can manage your clusters. You can view the state of your applications. You have financial operations on top of everything to ensure that you understand the cost of each and every single one of your infrastructure or clusters. And you have observability from metal, that bare metal, all the way up to the application layer to the large language model that may be running. With Coordinate, you have a unified platform that allows you to manage, operate, and deploy any type of application, monolithic, microservices, or agentic AI on top of any infrastructure, anywhere through a single pane of glass. We touched on this already, but every business needs now a platform that actually allows you to have traditional workloads, cloud native workloads, and agentic AI workloads, all through a single pane of glass that can be deployed anywhere. Okay, so let's take a look at our solution stack. And it does provide every single thing that you need for a production container infrastructure. At the foundation, the lowest level, we support any infrastructure. Bare metal services for maximum performance, virtual machines for flexibility, private clouds for control, public clouds for scale, edge locations for distributed computing. We support any infrastructure. It's a truly infrastructure agnostic platform. The core platform is running on a conformant Kubernetes, which is K8s. It's a lightweight Kubernetes distro that has a single binary, which makes it incredibly lightweight, that allows you to deploy it anywhere. On top of that, we're going to have some beachhead services, FinOps, policy management, observability, and security that is attached to your enterprise environment that allows you to achieve day two operations. FinOps for cost management, policy management for governance, being able to choose the different observability from Grafana to Prometheus, and of course, security scanning for vulnerabilities and enforcing specific guardrails that your platform should obey by. And lastly, we have the ability to actually be able to manage multiple Kubernetes clusters across multiple different clouds through a single pane of glass, meaning multi-cluster management across hundreds of clusters, multi-cloud orchestration across any cloud provider, and of course, hybrid deployments spanning across on-premise, cloud, and at the edge. And all of this is wrapped together through services and support that ensure that you achieve 24/7 support with less than 15 minutes response time for critical issues, ensuring that your platform is up and running at all times, meeting the service level agreements you have in place. So this cloud native approach delivers value through three different areas. One, for developers, your end users. It's ensuring that there's faster development time with containerized workloads, from code to production in hours, not weeks, easier testing with one consistent environment and experience, high reliability of the services with self-healing mechanisms for the infrastructure and zero downtime deployments. For the operators, we have agile operations with declarative configurations and GitOps workflows that you can introduce directly into your workflow. We have reduced complexity due to standardization and automation. We have a simplified lifecycle management, which allows you to have automated deployments, automated updates, automated upgrades. And lastly, we're ensuring that the platform has a predictable performance that guarantees that 99.9% SLAs and uptime. And lastly, for the business, we provide you a single point of control and visibility for everything that's happening in your infrastructure. So you're going to have visibility into costs, performance, utilization across every single team, every single application, every single infrastructure. These things are going to allow your business to reduce the time to market for new products and features, all while ensuring that you can actually manage, operate, and deploy any type of application, monolithic, cloud native, and of course, agentic AI. So let's take a look at the benefits for platform engineers. We are going to be delivering a composable platform running on Cube that gives these folks a central point of control. What this means is you can define your policies once, you can deploy them anywhere, and you can provide self-service to development teams through APIs and portals. No more ticket queues, just simply a standardized orchestration across any infrastructure. Same tools, same processes, same everything. You can easily implement workload isolation for security and multi-tenancy. You can have hard boundaries and so forth at any given moment. This is going to provide you with full transparency and control, where you know everything and control everything, while providing your end users, your developers, a self-service way of leveraging Kubernetes. So one platform team goes from managing 10 clusters with 5 engineers to managing hundreds of clusters with the same 5 engineers. You're going to increase your productivity significantly through the automation and standardization of our platform. Now, what's the operator experience like? Well, for these folks, we're going to simplify the operations and the lifecycle management. First, there's going to always be up-to-date release intervals that have patched CVEs in days, not weeks. We're going to have automated updates delivered continuously. You can apply these updates on your own schedule and also have automatic rollback in case there's any issues detected. On top of that, we have resilient, secure, and compliant functionality through continuous reconciliation. The platform is continuously checking and correcting the state that it is in. There's no longer configuration drift. Any type of drift is going to be automatically detected and corrected. All security policies are going to be continuously enforced. Compliance requirements are going to be continuously validated and enforced as well. This is going to make your operators' lives much easier. On top of that, through Mirantis Stacklight, that's going to be our lifecycle managing, monitoring, and observability. You're going to be able to have pre-built infra dashboards based on Prometheus. That's going to give you a full understanding of every single thing that is happening within your cloud environments. So let's take a look at MKE4K. Mirantis Kubernetes Engine 4K is going to be the technology used to actually allow you to deploy monolithic microservices and agentic AI across any infrastructure. The unique thing about MKE is we have specific Mirantis validated blueprints that you can drag and drop into your environment to create very specific and predictable templates for your end users. On top of that, MKE is ran by K8s, which is the lightweight open source Kubernetes distro that allows you to have a single binary, minimal requirement footprint, and it installs in minutes, allowing you to have a very simple, flexible kube distro for your Kubernetes enterprise platform. Now, as mentioned with MKE, you also get the opportunity to run virtual machines and containers side by side to one another in one fabric. And those virtual machines are going to gain additional resilience from the cube that gives it that flexibility it needs. So what is K8s? As mentioned, K8s is a lightweight Kubernetes distro that is fully open source, that can be deployed in minutes on top of any infrastructure very easily. Awesome. So why would you want to run virtual machines side by side to Kubernetes and to containers? One of the primary reasons to why you would want to do this is to ensure that those applications running on those virtual machines never have any downtime, and you can almost make a sidestep into modernizing your legacy workloads. This is the primary reason to why. You're creating a unified development platform, which is modern, agile, and cloud native, where containers are the primary focus, but you can still run virtual machines next to them. So you may be curious to what it actually takes to migrate from Rancher to MKE4K. At a very conservative point, we believe we can have customers and prospects fully migrated to MKE4K within 3 months. The first couple of weeks are assessing the current environment, planning and designing the deployment, and inventorying all of the RKE1 clusters, understanding what's running on these clusters, what applications are running on them, how many clusters are needed, and so forth. Weeks 3 through 6, we're going to validate and test the MKE4K platform that we have built for your unique needs, and your team is going to be fully trained on MKE by the end of this timeline. And lastly, we'll begin to roll out some of the applications on top of MKE from RKE1. What's beautiful about MKE is there's workload portability. We have custom solutions for FedRAMP and compliance organizations, ongoing education, and of course, all of the batteries for MKE4K are swappable, meaning you can choose any technology that you would like for your particular initiatives. Now, if you wanted to transition virtual machines to containers, this takes roughly 3 months as well, where we're going to actually prioritize specific applications dependent on the business outcomes these applications align to. We're going to begin to containerize these applications, generally speaking up to 20 or so. We're going to harden them. We're going to validate the applications, and we're going to push the image to a secure registry. And then lastly, we're going to deploy it on top of the Kubernetes. So why Mirantis? Well, there's many reasons why, but I'll touch on a couple things. First, you want to be able to decide your infrastructure strategy that is fully future-proof. If you want a workload to run in AWS and then move it to the edge, you should have the freedom and flexibility to have that workload portability done easily. You also are going to need a robust and reliable platform that is built for your unique needs, that is proven at scale. Over 35% of Fortune 500 companies leverage MKE today for their container orchestration needs. On top of that, the platform needs to be accessible and easy to use for your end users, giving them a self-service environment where they can deploy clusters for their applications at any given moment, as long as they have the correct guardrails in place to allow them to do so. And lastly, you do not want your platform or infrastructure to become an operational burden for you and your team. We took a look at this already, so I won't dive too deep into it. But long story short, what this is showing is MKE 4K can run anywhere. We have validated declarative platform templates which allow you to drag and drop different components within the platform. And then we have day 2 operations or beachhead services on top of it that give you a lot more flexibility and control. We will conclude here. I very much appreciate every single one of you for joining me today. I know it's a lot to take the time out of your day to participate here, so I very much appreciate it. Have a fantastic day, and thank you very much.